with a contract status update and more. This is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on and don't forget to like the video. At AEW Dynamite last night, a sign suggesting Mercedes Moné and Kazuchika Okada were in a relationship was taken, with the fan writing, "Sadly, my sign got confiscated at Dynamite. Apparently, we had an overzealous security person because he refused to let in any signs with a blank back, which is frustrating because I would have happily X'd out the back if I even had a marker with me. Still enjoyed the show." Giving his perspective on the sex trafficking lawsuit against Vince McMahon, former WWE star Alberto Del Rio told Sportskeeda Wrestling, "The law system works in different ways in every state, but I can tell you this, the law system in America works and it's fair and they always find the truth. Whenever they do, whatever the truth is, whether it's for one side or the other, it will be a matter of whether people can accept the truth or not. I'm saying this because that's exactly what happened with me. The truth is out there. It's just for the people to see it, but there are still some people who don't want to see the truth. For whatever reason, they continue attacking a man who does nothing but work, provide for his family, and gives his best to the wrestling business. When it comes to Mr. McMahon, it's going to be the same. The law system will find the truth and they'll put it out there. Then it will be up to the people to either believe that truth or continue attacking Mr. McMahon. Whatever happens, I have to say this. It's not fair that the world is destroying him right now. They're forgetting that none of this beautiful business would be here today the way it is if it wasn't for him. The personal stuff has to be completely separated from what he created in our industry. That's the only thing I find unfair. So to everyone out there, I say this, the law system will find the truth. Be ready." In that same interview, Alberto Del Rio said this about possibly joining AEW. "I have never seen Tony Khan. I have never talked to him. I don't think we ever met, but yeah, I would love to exchange some words and some knowledge and something with him. He's an important piece of the wrestling industry. He's doing good things with his company. He's trying to take the company to the next level. I know they know that they still have a lot to work towards to become what WWE is today. Of course, they've been in the business for 6-7 years or something like that, but WWE has been there for many years. So I'd like to one day be able to talk and see what the business can take us." On X, Otis posted a picture of himself with his former tag team partner and ex-WWE star Tucker, writing, "Two hearts, one soul." With WWE reducing the number of house shows they put on under the leadership of TKO Group Holdings, Rob Van Dam said this on his one-of-a-kind podcast. "If they're making most of their business off of TV and not at the actual live events, then there's not as much incentive to even do them. You know, I could see it maybe becoming just a television product if that's the way that the money flowed." Revealing AEW's intention to create another stable, PW Insider reported that there's been talk of building a faction around Deonna Purrazzo. Asked about a match against WWE star Dominik Mysyerio, AEW's Buddy Matthews said this during a live stream.
"Would you go one-on-one with Dom? Dom wouldn't, it'd be one on half. The only way Dom would beat me is if I was a chicken tender and he was hungry."
Even that.
With the Vince McMahon Netflix docuseries set to come out, former WWE employee Janel Grant, who is accusing McMahon and WWE of sex trafficking, has taken on a new PR firm, as Ringside News wrote that the pro wrestling world will be tuning into Netflix on September 25th to see the 6-part Mr. McMahon docuseries. The entire lawsuit centers around Janel Grant, even though she has done her best to stay out of the public eye. Now, Grant has taken on a new public relations firm to handle the impending surge of interest. Janel Grant was contacted for an interview, but it ultimately did not come to fruition. Her story, however, will still be featured prominently when Mr. McMahon premieres on September 25th. We recently reported that Grant's attorneys will hold a virtual press conference in New York just ahead of the docuseries debut. The 6-part Mr. McMahon docuseries is poised to uncover significant revelations. While longtime WWE fans may not be entirely shocked by the content, it will undoubtedly provide a fresh perspective on the chairman of the board. As revealed in a press release, Kendra Lammy from SKDK will collaborate with Grant's team as they prepare for the September 25th Mr. McMahon premiere. This PR firm has a long history of notable clients under their belt already. The SKDK firm has a history of supporting survivors of high-profile abuse cases, having previously worked with survivors of Harvey Weinstein, Marilyn Manson, and Jeffrey Epstein, as well as the former employees of the Washington Commanders in their lawsuit against Dan Snyder. Grant's attorney, Ann Callis, issued a statement emphasizing the importance of this partnership. SKDK has a proven track record of uplifting survivors of sexual violence and human trafficking. We look forward to our collaboration in seeking justice on behalf of our client, Janel Grant. Ann Callis further asserted that Janel Grant is a survivor of abuse and she is seeking justice. The statement also highlighted how much courage Janel Grant has demonstrated since coming forward. Janel Grant is a survivor of incomprehensible abuse, sexual assault, and human trafficking at the hands of Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and WWE. She has courageously come forward to seek justice for herself and other survivors, and we are honored to support her in sharing her story. It takes immense strength to speak out against Goliaths, and we encourage all survivors of sexual harassment, assault, and human trafficking to seek the support they need. In addition to her new PR representation, Grant will continue to be supported by the agency group as she navigates this complex landscape. As the premiere approaches, all eyes will be on the revelations that Mr. McMahon will bring to light. On the topic of the Vince McMahon docu-series, this was said regarding the WWE backstage reaction to this. As Dave Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio, I can only say that the director who did it covered with me every single thing that I would expect someone to cover. There were no stones unturned. What the final product is, I know there are people in WWE who are not happy with it. I don't know how fair it is to Vince, but there were people there unhappy. Addressing his upcoming match against Ricochet, International Champion Will Ospreay said this in an AEW digital exclusive. "Mate, we are completely different people than we were 8 years ago at the Best of Super Juniors, and you try to lil bro me? Bruv, who are you trying to kid? Mate, you might have been on this 6-year hiatus, right? In 6 years, I changed the game. I'm not the same person I was 8 years ago, son. I ain't gotta prove nothing to no one. If anything, you've got to prove something to me. So I dare you to bring everything you've got at the 5-year anniversary. Because everyone finds out MJF and Pac, there's a reason why there isn't a list. Because there is no one, and I mean no one, on my level, boss." Confirming the previous report on WWE looking to re-sign WWE talent to new deals ahead of their contracts running out, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful wrote on X, "Can confirm WWE has been approaching talent much earlier ahead of their contracts expiring of late." Replying to an Instagram comment that said the Hurt Business is still in business, MVP replied, "The Hurt Business is dead, but our business lives on. It remains to be seen what is next for former WWE stars MVP Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, as they previously had talks with AEW. With her last wrestling for AEW in October of 2022, Penelope Ford could be seen in a photo as she appears to be training for an in-ring return. Touching on the back and forth between Kevin Nash and Logan Paul, where Nash had said Paul was not one of the boys in the WWE locker room, AEW commentator Jim Ross noted on his Grilling JR podcast, "It shouldn't have been made public, I don't think. Who did it help? It didn't help Logan Paul, and I don't know that it helped WWE. We're talking about it, so maybe it did. We're just not acknowledging it, but I would have probably preferred if I was involved in talent relations. The talent should be smart enough not to light fires that they can't address. In other words, they're shooting an angle that'll never happen, and that's a waste of time. There's a million things Logan Paul, who's still trying to get over, and he's a hell of a hand, but he's still, I don't know how it helps everybody. It shows you where Logan Paul's head is." With her recently revealing she was hospitalized in May over a lung mass that turned out to be pneumonia, AEW star Rebel posted photos to Instagram and wrote, "Third time going under anesthesia in the past 4 months, and I'm grateful surgery went well today. I'm on the mend, y'all, and I'm excited for it. And best believe I'm watching AEW Dynamite tonight, and you should too." Posting pictures from AEW Dynamite last night, fans could be seen apparently leaving their seats when Chris Jericho vs. Orange Cassidy came on. Bringing up the contract situation of Dustin Rhodes in AEW, Ringside News wrote that Dustin Rhodes, currently a double champion in Ring of Honor, has been a key figure in both AEW and ROH, but his future with the company remains uncertain. Last year, reports surfaced that Rhodes' AEW contract ran through September of 2024. Despite his recent championship success in ROH, that timeline hasn't changed, according to Fightful Select. When it comes to the WWE status of Ken Shamrock, he said this in an interview with Chris Van Vliet. "I am, yes," Shamrock said when asked if he's officially under a Legends deal. Shamrock said this in November about returning to the company on screen or as a trainer, telling the 10 count, "You know, not that I would say no, obviously. I'd have to look and make sure it's the right thing. It would have to make sense, right? So yeah, of course, if that was to come around and if it made sense, then yeah." Addressing rumors of him turning down a match against Bobby Lashley in mixed martial arts, Ken Shamrock told Chris Van Vliet, "Man, that was a long time ago. I don't even remember. But one thing that I want people to know, and anybody that knows me, anybody that's ever been around me, and anybody that's ever trained with me knows this for a fact. I'm afraid of no one. Even to this day, I'm afraid of no one. It's a friggin' fight. You put a gun to my head, yeah, I'll be a little bit nervous, but my character in the way that I grew up, I'm not afraid. That's not in me. That's not a part of me. So whatever happens throughout my career with different things, because it's been probably 3 or 4 more, it fell through, and mostly because of the negotiations. I never negotiated my fights as I became bigger and bigger. I got agents to do that. So when they fell through, it had nothing to do with me. It's the negotiations. For whatever reason, and a couple of these other different things that people want to say, oh, you just didn't want to fight him. I promise you this. this. If you're a fighter and you're at that 1% level, that will never happen to anyone not wanting to fight somebody. That's not in our DNA. That's not how it works. That's not how fighters' brains work. That's what we do for a living. It's like that's how we make money. You think we're afraid of an individual because we may get hit? Come on. He then said this regarding his desire to fight Lashley. Yeah, and again, I don't know how or what happened and why it didn't happen. There's a couple of other ones too that happened. I'm supposed to fight somebody in England, I forget his name, and it fell through at the last minute. And had to do something with negotiations, and all of a sudden they're screaming he didn't want to fight him. He was afraid of him. I was like, yeah, that's how he became a champion, because I'm afraid to fight people. It's unbelievable. But just as an education, man, anytime that ever happens, I promise you it has nothing to do with the fighter. The father of Jimmy Uso, Rikishi, posted this message on X, writing, "Dear God, pray for strength and health to continue. Jimmy Uso, WWE, Bloodline, and Hawaii, Fatu. Stay prayed for my boy, Jonathan Fatu." Then Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful said, in following up with people in WWE, they say that they've spoken to Jimmy Uso, who says he's fine. I don't have any further context beyond that. Hinting at the WWE Royal Rumble debut of TNA star Joe Hendry, who has been making appearances on NXT, Jordan Grace wrote on X, "When say his name and he appears hits next year, it's going in the top 5 Rumble reactions in history. Bookmark this tweet." Going over an interview where The Rock recalled his contracts with WWE, Ringside News wrote that during a recent interview with Patrick Bet-David, The Rock shared insight into his first contract negotiation with Vince McMahon and the pivotal moments that shaped his career trajectory. The Rock spoke highly of his relationship with McMahon, built on mutual respect and a shared commitment to hard work. He recalled, "The relationship between Vince and I was a great relationship because it was based on my willingness to work for every dollar. Our relationship was about the work, willing to put in the work, and I have a tremendous, boundless respect for the business of pro wrestling that is so deeply important to him. That's his life, that's his world, it's his blood." The Rock explained how he felt destined to take WWE to new heights after his rise as The Rock. When McMahon asked what's next after his career began to take off, The Rock's response was bold. "I feel what's next is to take this brass ring and take it to places it's never been." That shared vision marked the beginning of The Rock's ascension to superstardom. The Rock's initial WWE contract wasn't what many would expect for a future megastar. "My very first contract with WWE with Vince was a 5-year contract for $150,000 a year," The Rock shared. While $150,000 a year may seem like a solid sum, The Rock noted that with the costs associated with being on the road, such as hotels, food, and transportation, he had to stretch his earnings. When you're wrestling 250 dates a year, do the math with what you're getting per match, he explained, making it clear that he had to grind to make ends meet. As The Rock's popularity soared, it became time to renegotiate his contract. McMahon suggested that The Rock might need an agent, but the wrestler declined, opting instead to negotiate directly. "I said, I'd like to negotiate with you directly. How we met was with a handshake. And I believe how we're going to do this is with a handshake," The Rock explained. When asked what he wanted, The Rock boldly inquired about the highest paid wrestler on the roster. At the time, it was Stone Cold Steve Austin, who was earning a guaranteed $1 million. The Rock didn't hesitate. "I want to." While McMahon was initially surprised, he respected The Rock's logic and ambition. However, he had a condition. The Rock needed to learn the business side of wrestling. Over the next few weeks, The Rock immersed himself in learning the economics of WWE, including venue costs, wrestler payouts, and state taxes. After that crash course, The Rock renegotiated his contract, asking to match Austin's $1 million guarantee, understanding now how the business worked. But McMahon had another surprise in store. He said, "How much do you think you're going to make this year?" "I I said maybe $1.5 million. He said, you're going to make $15 million. By the late 90s and early 2000s, WWE was booming and The Rock's career was about to hit new heights. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.